Hello, Assalamualaikum to my beloved lecturers, Sir Nazira Azwan. We are from section DTE 0404 and will present to you a topic about sexist language. As we know, sexist language based on the topic of gender politeness stereotypes involves many types of ways women and men communicate with each other or communicate with the same gender. So I begin with the introduction to discover sexism language in different contexts. Sexist language in sociolinguistics is a significant and complex issue that encompasses a wide range of contexts. It involves the use of language that perpetuates discrimination or inequality based on the gender. Sociolinguistics is the study of how language and society are interconnected, and within this field, sexism in language has been a topic of considerable research and discussions. So, in various contexts, sexist language can manifest in different ways. So, the first one is in casual interactions. Sexist language can occur when individuals use words, phrases, or expressions that reinforce gender stereotype. Okay. So the secondly is sexism can be prevalent in workplace communication, affecting promotion, job opportunities, and the overall work environment. So it explains that gender biased language, such as addressing female colleges differently than male colleges, or using gender term like chairman instead of gender neutral alternative like chairperson, can perpetuate gender inequality. Furthermore, the media often portrays gender stereotypes and sexism through language. This includes objectifying women, reinforcing traditional gender roles, and perpetuating harmful stereotypes. And also, it is an entertainment context in the sexism language. Moreover, education can also emerge in education settings. Gender-based language can affect the student esteem and participation in various fields of study. For example, discouraging a girl from pursuing careers in science and technology through language choices and have long-term consequences. Other than that, addressing sexist language in sociolinguistics involves understanding how language shapes and reflects societal attitudes toward the gender.
Moving to the summary of Article 1. Sexist humor against women in higher education is a serious problem that involves the use of humor or jokes that degrade, objectify, or insult women in academic contexts. This style of humor reinforces gender stereotypes and fosters a hostile climate for female staff, members, and students. The confidence of well-being and possibilities for success of women in higher education may be undermined by improper remarks, offensive jokes, or minor insult. In overall, in this article, clearly we can see they are raising our awareness of sexist humor's negative consequences, creating a enforcing clear regulation against harassment and discrimination, fostering gender diversity, offering support system, and anticipating bystander action are just a few of the steps higher education can take to tackle it. In general, combating sexist humor directed at women in higher education is essential for building a respectful and fair academic atmosphere.
Sexist comedy can have major ramifications, since it reinforces a social structure that denigrates and supports sexism, keeping the status quo of sexism in place. As a result, males who renegade women and impose their domination over them are forced to place them at the bottom of the social ladders as their subordinates. Women's movement across campus in higher education is impacted by the dread of sexist humor. The space, vitality, and mobility of the female pupil seem to be under the influence of such humor, as some of the areas they neglect may be crucial to their studies. This has a negative impact on their academic achievement. Additionally, it makes the cold climate for women in higher education worse.
Here are a few typical forms of objection that are frequently brought up in conversation concerning this problem, which is harm and impact on education. First, sexist humor reinforces negative gender stereotypes, damage women's self-esteem, and fosters an adversarial learning environment. Second, studies and research indicates that sexist humor has a negative psychological and emotional effect on women. It might result in lower self-esteem, a lack of interest in school, and less possibilities for women in academics. Moving to the second point of argument, which is freedom of speech versus harassment. The first point is sexist humor does not cross the line into harassment and it is protected by the principle of free speech and academic freedom. The second point is the main topic of discussion is how to strike a balance between the right to free speech and preserving an inclusive or courteous learning environment. It might be difficult to distinguish between harassment and protected speech. Moving to the third point of arguments, which is educational impact. First, sexist humor undermines the educational goals of higher education institutions and lessens the educational opportunities available to all students. The second point is a unpleasant or uncomfortable setting may have a negative effect on learning result. According to the research, if they feel excluded from the classroom, students may stop participating. These are the last point for arguments, which is the intersectionality. First, some claim that sexist humor discriminates against women from disadvantaged communities more than others, increasing already existing issues of bias. Given that women from different backgrounds may suffer different difficulties of experience, it is crucial to recognize the interdependence of discrimination.
There are three findings on this article. The first one is prevalence of sexist humor. Sexist humor is frequently used in higher education environments, for instance in lecture halls, residence halls, and also social gatherings. It may take the shape of jokes, remarks, stereotypes, or disparaging words directed at female students because of their gender. The second one is impact on female students. The discomfort, alienation, and harassment that sexist humor may cause in female students is real. A hostile and unwelcoming climate caused by such humor can lower students' self-confidence, self-esteem, and involvement in class. And the final one is influence on academic performance. Experiencing sexist humor can distract female students from their studies and hinder their academic performance. It may also discourage them from pursuing certain fields of study or careers in which they perceive a hostile environment. It makes sense that sexism and sexual harassment in educational settings have received a lot of attention from researchers. Despite the passage of laws making these behaviors illegal, latent or less evident harassment continues to occur through methods like sexist humor. This survey included 20 female and 10 male university students from a Zimbabwean university. Through interviews and focus groups, it looked into how gender is connected to culture, which manifests itself in sexist humor, and how this contributes to universities being hostile to women. In addition to looking at issues of power and helplessness, the study also looked at the hidden force behind sexist humor in educational contexts. On Bourdieu's theory of practice, it was based.
So the next is article summary of article 2, which is 99% of women working in the film and TV industries have experienced sexism. As Sarah Gavin, the director of Suffragette, has repeatedly found herself in a room full of guys and felt as though she isn't being heard. She just realized the fact that there were so many women around her that give her confidence. After she directed the Suffragette, which is the movie, as the writers, producers, production and costume designer were all women, she thinks that it's great to be taught about a woman filmmaker. It's a part of who she is and it affects her daily. And Sarah support any plan or effort that allows women a foot in the door. It's imperative that we use every effort to end this absurd cycle of constant stagnation. She hates the way that female directors have to look good. She even used to imagine being a man when she was young and thinking that it would be simpler and she would not have to be self-conscious. And for the next example, Emma Watson, which is an actress who was also the UN Women Goodwill Ambassador, has also experienced sexism in that and have been directed by male directors 70 times and only twice by women. She was lucky as she has always insisted on being treated equally and has generally won that equality. This majority of the issues she has come from the media, where the treatment from the male co-stars has been so radically different. She believes that her work with the UN has probably increased her awareness of the issues as she attended a work dinner and it was only her with 7 guys. In the event that something goes wrong at work, the support system is not great. Women are frequently not taken seriously because the powerful males find it difficult to understand many of the issues we encounter. However, discrimination against women is a problem that also affects women.
Rahim. In the article, Lexi Alexander said that 99% of women working in the film and television industries have experienced sexism. Lexi Alexander is a woman. She said that she can tell us a lot of examples about sexism in the industry, such as driver who declined to pick her up because he was instructed to wait for the director. She itself is a woman, and the driver declined to pick her up just because he was instructed to wait for the director that is a male. Other than that, there is a scene where they insist a male director for a movie about boxing and fighting, even though the director that they want doesn't have any experience in boxing and fighting, even though Lexi Alexander herself have been spending her youth life in competition about boxing and fighting. They still do not want to choose her as a director. The director is considered the general in the industry. It means like in the military, we can imagine how the role as director is a woman. How a woman become a director is just such an a rare experience if a woman become a director. Even if a woman write a story with a male perspective, they still think that it is less skill than the stories that already written by a male director. How unfair the women who working in the film and television are being treated. It's like it is about my opinion, our opinion about the article. The article itself, it is a good article because it have all the things that we want. We do not need to go to find another source just to make ourselves clear about this topic. In this article, we can find all of the things. We can rely on the article, and I can't deny the fact that I really agree with the article, because even in our society we can see the sexism. So I do not need to go to the film industry just to experience sexism. No, because in our society we can clearly see it, and the article is clearly written. We can say that this article is so well researched, and I definitely understand the article effortlessly. And the last one, the writing style is captivating. We can't deny the fact that reading an article is such a boring action, but for this article, because of her writing style, it makes me keep going to read the article. Thank you.
So lastly, I will include to you all that my friends have presented just now about the Article 1 and Article 2. Okay. In the entertainment industry, sexist language can reinforce regressive gender norms and objectify individuals, ultimately transforming language in this context can contribute to a more diverse and empowering educational system and entertainment landscape. Sexist humor, which target people based on their gender, often perpetuates harmful stereotypes and discrimination. In higher education, it continues to be a problem, particularly for female students. And addressing this issue is crucial for gender equality and ensuring all students can participate in fully academic endeavor. This requires the creation and enforcement of rules against sexist humor, promoting respect for gender diversity, and creating inclusive learning environments. Next is the second article. The claim that 99% of women in the film and TV industries have experienced sexism is a significant issue, but the accuracy of this statistic depends on the sample size, methodology, and context. It emphasizes the need for promoting gender equality, fostering a supportive work environment, and challenging discriminatory practices. It calls for collective effort to create a more equitable environment for women in these fields. The implications of sexism in language are multifaceted and far-reaching, impacting individuals, communities, and society as a whole, particularly in those who are consistently targeted by such a language. Social and cultural impact in media, advertising, and popular culture can shape society attitudes, perpetuates gender bias, and impact the way individuals are portrayed and perceived in society. The emotional and psychological toll that experiencing sexist language can have a lasting emotional and psychological toll on individuals. It can lead to feelings of frustration, anger, and even depression. Sexist language impact on individuals and communities is crucial for a more inclusive society. Combating it involves promoting gender neutral communication, challenging stereotypes, and raising awareness about its effects. So that's all for us. I hope you enjoy our presentation today. And then thank you for our lecturer, Sir Nazir Azwar.